So this story of the coming out of Egypt that we recall, that we're supposed to recall twice a day, and on Passover, it's something that we make like the whole Passover is all about recalling the Exodus out of Egypt, because the Exodus out of Egypt isn't something of the past, something that happened once, in history, but it's something that is ongoing, that we are constantly coming out of our Egypts. We have our Pharaohs, which we said last week. Remember, Pharaoh stands for the letters Ha'orif, which means the nape, right? The back of the neck, not even the throat, right? It's the back of the neck that's holding, that's like compressing, that's squeezing the expansive from coming into our hearts, right? And that's Egypt, the feeling of of being stuck, of being compressed, right? Of being in the state of turmoil, right? But within that state are sparks and potentiality which are waiting to be uplifted. So 288 sparks came into the world. 202 of them were uplifted in Egypt, right? That's what the Arizal says, and that's the word, right? That they came out of Egypt. The word is Rav. Rav is 202. So, right. So that means most of the work was really done by those high souls, which were very much collective souls of Egypt. They were like 600,000 root souls. All of our souls are sparks of those souls, the Arizal teaches us. So, right? So the souls came in as 70 collective souls, right? And then they became 600,000 collective souls. And each one of the hundred, each soul became, who knows, thousands and thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands of souls that come from that root soul. And by the way, whenever you feel close to someone, that means you actually come from the same, root soul, right? Because, it's that, there's 600,000 letters in the Torah, which are the 600,000 root souls that we all stem from, that we emanate from. So those root souls raised up to, right, most of the sparks, right? Two out of 288, right? They raised up 70, they raised up most of them, right? We basically have 76 that are left. Um, how do they raise them up? Because they are these massive souls, like big potential souls, right? That have way more bandwidth. Basically, it's like having this massive bandwidth that those souls have. We're called the souls of Ikvisa de Mashiach, of the heels of Mashiach. That's our souls currently in this generation, that we're called like the heels, right? Whereas the earlier generations, right? Tanya teaches, earlier generations were like the head and the eyes and the heart, etc. But we're like the heels. And that means it's like basically dependent on us, but we're like riding on so much. But at the same time, our desensitized in a way, right, level is still connected, because we know everything is in the feet. Anyone that's ever done reflexology, I mean, I remember like I had like certain things, and I went to this person and did reflex. It's like, yeah, you just press on this and this on that. And you're like, what, for my foot? Like I could press on that, and all of a sudden, I could feel better, and that's crazy. And yeah, so although we are this like we're like these heels, right? And feels like, what are we actually even doing, right? In comparison to the previous generations that were so high, yet we're touching the essence, right? In this generation, we're actually, because that's what the sole of the feet is. It's actually boots on the ground or feet on the ground, that it's going and it's got the tactile level that's reaching all the way back to its source. So although we're lowly in comparison to those great souls that were there before us, we have very powerful potential, and that's why so many modalities are coming out into the world now, that have to do with being in the body, with feeling our emotions, feeling right. And we discussed psychedelics like a couple of weeks ago, but I really believe that Hashem has brought it now into this world, because people are disconnected. And again, it's not for everyone. I'm not getting into that discussion again, but like, it's there to awaken and to give um, relief, and to give, hope, and to heal through certain traumas that, that talk therapy doesn't do, right? So there's all of these modalities that are very much somatic, energy healing, like voice active, through the voice, hearing, you know, voice and sound healing. And, my kids do, some of them do horse therapy, going on horses. One of my sons, that's the only thing, is ADHD. And like getting on a horse for him was like, so because we need to feel our body, because and we are this heel that's like here and asked to be present, and we're gifted, or we could say whatever way you want to look at it. Many people like are like they look at it as the opposite of a gift, almost like a curse, right? Like we're this intensity that's going on, that's here, and the things that we're working through are so vast, because everything is coming from this highest place down to this lowest place, right? That's where usually everything like ends up, unless there's no, if there's, if it comes all the way down, and it's coming all the way down to us, to our souls in this generation. Marcy?